Hello, my name is Victor Rodriguez with Programmer's Paradise. The purpose of this web video is to demonstrate the SAPhir option, which is part of the CA ERwin Data Modeling Suite. ERP systems have complex data structures, often with meaningless, hard to decipher table and column physical names, and with index information, or relationship information, which is actually stored in a proprietary system catalog. This makes standard reverse engineering via just a standard reverse engineering tool, a data modeler of some type, usually not very transparent in your end result. The SAPhir tool actually allows you to extract this data, reading this proprietary system catalog information, and building a usable data model for documentation purposes and analysis. This allows you to see a full data model with usable names, relationships, index information, and allows you to also report on this information or do analysis as far as data warehousing efforts, anything that may have to do with your release management, also with integrating with any other applications, or just general metadata management. Without the metadata, you'd have basically the black box, which is the concept that you can't actually see what is happening within that structure. Here we see a regular reverse engineer of an SAP environment. As you can see, or maybe not too clearly see here, there's no primary keys defined on these. The column names themselves have shortened physical names, which are not that clear to read, as are the table names. For example, in SAP, these table names are not only abbreviated, but they're actually German anagrams of what the tables actually contain. Here we have a close-up of some of the metadata information, and as you can see, these tables and column information is very hard to understand at this point. What we see in the next slide is now a more usable design, where we're actually seeing logical names defined on these models. Also, we now see relationships between these tables, primary keys are defined, and these logical names are much easier to understand for anybody who needs to see the information. The architecture of the tool itself is that there is a SAPhir software itself. This software actually will allow you to extract the metadata from an ERP catalog. This can be multiple ERP catalogs, by the way, and you create this into, after this extraction, it actually populates into a data dictionary, which is simply a database which is going to store the extracted ERP catalog information. And from this secondary container, this is where all of the reporting is going to be done. So you don't have to worry that your end users are going to have access to your ERP catalog. They are simply reading the metadata information from this data dictionary that is built. So the extraction, which can be a little time consuming, a little resource intensive, only occurs one time, and then everything else is simply happening from this local data dictionary via the SAPhir software connecting to that data dictionary, and then that information will be exported for analysis to the ERwin tool, and we'll be demonstrating that in just a moment. Here is the SAPhir tool itself, and we'll see the functionality within the tool. We start with the first button on the toolbar, and this is the repository manager. You can see that you can actually build multiple repositories for analysis, and each one of these can map to a different ERP that you may have. And we're going to look at this SAP Demo one, for example. We're now connected, there's no error messages, and we're going to click on the next button here on our toolbar, and this is the model overview. You'll see that there's a Tables tab, Views, Data Elements, and Domains. Data elements basically correlate to columns or attributes, and they all work the same way. For example, I can do a search here in the short description field for customer. And these are all the tables now that are related to customer based on their short description. I can do a search here on the number of child tables, and you'll see that this KNA1 table actually has 45 relationships. To analyze this table, I just double click here, and now this is the information regarding to that table. If there's an F here, this primary key also is a foreign key, and you'll see that this little up arrow is available for all the foreign keys, whether it's this primary key member or down here. This also indicates, these two boxes indicate a relationship as well, and we can actually jump to the parent field. And in this case, it's actually a recursive relationship to the same table. But if we go to a different table, let's take a look at this one here. This is actually in table LFA1, which also opens now in a separate window. And we can see relationships on this table, indexes, and the actual fields themselves, which of course also have these nicely translated field text. We also have table information, see table type, defined as transparent, etc. Now we'll move to this next button on our toolbar. This actually shows the hierarchy of our ERP. And for example, we can look for this KNA1 table in here as well. We'll do a search on table, KNA1. And then here it is. If I double click on that, we'll see that it is selected back here in my tree. This once again allows me to navigate into the same editor as before. But now what I can do is create subject areas. I'm going to create a new subject area. We'll call this customer related. And the open subject area is always the one that is available for editing. You'll notice that down here there's instructions. We can actually drag tables right into it from here, right into our subject area editor. But a more useful tool is actually to show table relationships. And now we have this table relationship editor. These are the parent tables, and these are the child tables. There's many of them. And we can actually right click here and we add all to the subject area. And we see that all the parent tables have now been added there. And we can add all the children in one shot as well. And now we've added all the parent and child related tables to this new subject area. We could further edit this if we'd like to add or remove any of these. But now that we've built the subject area, we can actually export this data. And here's where ERwin becomes involved. I can now launch the export wizard, and I can select which subject area or subject areas I'd like to build a report on. I already have one here, but I'm going to remove it. And I'm going to add subject areas. And this is the customer related subject area I just created. I'm just going to drag it and drop it right in. I'm going to click next. And by default, if I leave these all 0, this will show all relationships. You can actually specify, for example, limiting just one parent relationship, just one child relationship from a central object. But in this case, we leave everything at 0, which means that all relationships will be included in our export. I'll click the Start Export button. And we see that this is writing the ERwin model. And it's building that, and it just takes a moment to do so. And now the export is complete. I can close this dialog. And now we're going to look at the model inside the ERwin software.